A few days ago, a 16-year-old young man was shot 2 times, as apparently he went to the wrong house late at night to pick up his little brothers from the babysitter. Now, the homeowner claims he thought it was a burglar, and, thank God the young man is still alive, and so far is recovering well. And the homeowner, Mr. Andrew Lester, he has been charged with assault in the first degree. Now, this definitely is an unfortunate situation, and hopefully it should resolve itself on its own. But the shooter was white, and the teenager that got shot was black. So we know where this is going. Enter attorney Benjamin Crump.
It is so offensive when people try to justify shooting unarmed black people, especially our young children. He merely rang the doorbell. That was it. And the owner of the home shoots through the door, hitting him in the head, and then shoots him a second time, aiming at his chest. And had he not had his arm there, the bullet would have went in his chest. And so how is this ever justified? I mean, you have people who are delivery men. So do you mean to tell me now we're going to tolerate as a society when you have a black delivery man from Amazon or FedEx ring your doorbell, that a white citizen can profile them and shoot them and say, just because the color of his skin, I thought he was burglarizing my home? That is unacceptable.
We all know that when Attorney Crump is involved, then a huge payout from a civil rights lawsuit is on its way. Now, this situation on face value does sound very similar to the Trayvon Martin case about 10 years ago, where a teenager was shot and killed by a homeowner in a neighborhood. And the homeowner had claimed self-defense under what was there then the Florida Stand Your Ground law. However, in this case, what will most likely be disputed is the castle doctrine, where a homeowner has more protection if they're assaulted at their place of residence. However, I doubt that Mr. Lester has any grounds to stand on here, as he just shot at a young man without any type of engagement or struggle. He basically panicked and overreacted, and I believe he should be punished for that, and hopefully he will be. However, the situation now has turned over to race. Now, the shooting happened on a Thursday night, and Mr. Lester awoke from hearing noise by his front door and stated he saw a black male, tall in stature, and assumed he was trying to break in. So he shot at the young man and it hit him in the face. Then he shot again, hitting him in his right arm. He then called the cops, and simultaneously, the teenager, Ralph, ran to a nearby house where a good Samaritan, who happens to be a white man, helped him out and called paramedics. Now, the cops took Andrew Lester's statement, and due to Ralph being in the hospital, they couldn't get his statement. At the same time, they couldn't just hold Mr. Lester until they got a statement from Ralph or other witnesses, to compile a case that could, lead to a charge. So to me, time was needed to determine if Andrew Lester would be charged. But once the story got on the radar, Mr. Crump and his legal team swooped in and now turned Ralph into a possible pawn to push a racist narrative. I mean, it's just disgusting. And why they want these narratives? It ain't because they care about black people. I'll tell you that much.
The case in Kansas City, yet another example of a hate crime. That's all we can call it. A teenage boy looking for his siblings, just accidentally goes to the wrong door, and without any conversation, he finds himself being shot. This cannot be sanctioned. This cannot be excused. This cannot be justified, and one only believes it's being fueled by this movement of hate, intolerance, and extremism in this country that impacts people and turns them into being paranoid and fearful of people who are black for no reason whatsoever. This was a teenage boy. Our report connects the dot between hate, extremism, and public policies like voter suppression, censorship of books, the attack on renewable energy that we see in this country, the attack on women's reproductive rights is being fueled by a movement of hate, extremism, and white supremacy.
Yo, this is what these politicians, social justice warriors, and race agitators' main angle is. Climate change, abortion, voter suppression, gun control, and they cloak all of this under, liberal agendas, all under the umbrella of racism that's driven by white supremacy. And of course, to do this, they got to get people's emotions revved up by a common injustice that most people agree with, which is racism. I mean, President Biden even called and spoke to Ralph and has invited him and his family to the White House. Obviously, for what? A photo op that will continue the narrative of high racial tensions in America. I mean, the president didn't even invite the families of the children who were killed in Nashville last month. What does that tell you? Come on. This is what they want, but we have to be smarter not to fall for this. But, however, we're not. The prosecutor on the case, he even said that there is a racist component. But what component is there? I mean, the man is white and the child's black. That's it. And the NAACP and other advocacy groups say they want the FBI to conduct a hate crime investigation. And I'm cool with that because maybe there is a racial component here. But first, you try the senior citizen in a court of law and then see if there's any form of racism displayed there, which I doubt. I mean, the FBI couldn't even get race crime charges or hate crime charges to stick against Derek Chauvin in the whole George Floyd case. And also here, we even have people trying to compare this to Emmett Till. I mean, Emmett Till was brutally tortured and murdered in a case that was obviously racist. In this case, the child's alive, and we don't even know if race has anything to do with it. So, we as a people, we must stop embracing victimization and oppression, because what we continue to embrace will be what we continue to live in our own realities. Everywhere you go, you'll see race. Any little hint of misbehavior or bad feeling around white people will lead us to jump to racism. Our trigger points become so blatant and our sensitivity levels will get so high that we can't control our emotions, especially when we're in a crowd of other people that look like us. This creates a mob that is just justified in destroying things and releasing acts of violence on people that don't look like us. Like, look what happened in Chicago this past weekend.
The video of this attack that went viral over the weekend really only captures the tail end of what she describes as a brutal attack. The victims here, a couple visiting from out of town. They're in their early 20s, staying at an Airbnb. They were out to dinner, just trying to enjoy their night.
We were just downtown in Chicago trying to shop, trying to get some food. And we were walking down the street, and there was a really big group of guys, a really big group of people.
And girls.
Yeah, guys and girls. And, DJ had my hand, and he was trying to lead me through the crowd of people. And they pushed him, they pushed me. And as soon as they pushed me, I told DJ, I said, hey, they just shoved me.
The mob attack happened right near Macy's Wabash Street entrance.
This is crazy, man. It's really crazy. I mean, forget the racial component. The fact that you got young men, some teenagers, harassing and beating up a woman. Really? I mean, that's one of the most coward things a man can do. Notice that neither she or her boyfriend named the race of the mob. I mean, they were all obviously black, but if she says that they were black men that attacked her, she's deemed as racist. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, once again, what happened to Ralph, was horrendous, and I hope he continues to recover, and that Mr. Andrew Lester, he gets convicted of his crime, because he definitely overreacted. But when you juxtapose this to what happened in Chicago, and how we as a community are not holding those black teenagers accountable, but are protesting for fair treatment here, it just makes us look ridiculous. I mean, I can see why Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, said what he said about white people moving away from black people. And more, we're just proving him right. As a people in America, black folks that is, we have a high abortion rate, a high crime rate, a high incarceration rate, and we're low in education. If I'm a coon for saying all this, then sign me up. because I'm for the truth. I mean, we're about 60 years removed from the civil rights era, and we're still fighting for the same things. Explain that to me. So look, please leave me a comment, because apparently I can't comprehend this behavior. I don't understand it. Maybe you can explain it to me.